If I do like that.
And we're live!
And we're live! Oh my God, I was with my screen and you screamed me. Hi everybody, this is hashtag SPSM. Now we're live. There's the little bleep, Tony. Hey, it's good to see you guys here. We have Stark Winter is coming, who is live tweeting for us tonight. We're so excited. She's going to be running the SPSM chat account. And tonight we have something that several of you requested. And we will get to that momentarily, but first we're going to do introductions and sort of get you started with business, and then we're going to sort of launch into tutorial. I'm at Doc Foreman, your friendly neighborhood suicide prevention social media chatter. You can find me at Doc Foreman on Twitter. We're always starting this now at the beginning of the show. If you enjoyed the content from SPSM, would you give our videos a like? Go to the SPSM Facebook page, like and follow that page. Definitely share our events, follow our account, would you please? If you miss a video, like you may be busy because it's a holiday and it's Sunday night, so maybe you were doing other things besides suicide prevention, but you're going to watch this later this week, go ahead, watch it, like it, and share it on your social media. I'm just going to give you a second to do that. And I'd like to introduce you to my IT producer and fabulous collaborator, Tony Wood. Tony, say hi to the people.
Howdy, everybody. Tweet at me at ADWWW if you have any questions during the show. At ADWWW.
Also, Tony Wood has got me trying this new fabulous microphone. Thank you, Producer Wood, for this fabulous microphone. So if I sound funny, it's Tony's fault, is what I'm telling you.
No,
everybody,
it always sounds funny.
I do.
Not that. It's just if it sounds different and you don't like it, you can blame me. But it's a better microphone. And
everybody, this is at Bart Andrews. Bart!
Good evening, everybody. I am so excited about the show. I will tell you that I'm a bit, well, you can reach me. Let me back up. You can reach me on Twitter when I'm on Twitter, at Bart Andrews. It's just that easy. And if you have something about the show and you want to tweet about it, tweet Tony. I'm going to help you with it, and that will be helpful. Just riding on your coattails there, Tony. I just didn't want to take any actual real responsibility for anything. So, side note, I am very excited to be here. I will tell everybody I'm a little prezi phobic. I did play around a little bit with one of April's. I played around with April's prezi. And
that sounds dirty, Bart.
If you have a dirty mind, everything sounds dirty. That's my, yeah. So, but I'm a little prezi phobic, and so I played around with prezi a little bit, and I liked it, but I want to learn more. So, I mean, I know April did a ton of work on this show, and I'm really excited. So, I am here to learn.
I will tell you that this did take some prep effort, and so a couple of notes about this. The computer will not. The bandwidth is such that I can't stream an animated prezi and show you how prezi works like live with the screen share. So you can go to if you Google prezi and at Doc Foreman, you can go see a bunch of accounts, and you will see there's one that is the demo for tonight. We've also tweeted out the link to the demo. You can see that on my Twitter account, and you can have that and be looking at that while you're checking the live stream video or while you're watching the slides to sort of play around with it. It's you can copy a version and you can sort of see what we're doing and slide through the slides on your own, save a copy on your own account and alter it any way you like. So this is just sort of for funsies. I'm going to talk a little bit about why we're doing it, and we're going to talk about when Tony decided that I should start using prezi back in 2012. I cannot believe I've only been using it 3 years. So first of all, like as you know, with all things technology, I'm usually really excited. I'm engaged. I'm a fast learner. I'm not easily frustrated. I know that I'm just much better at it than you, right, Tony?
She's a liar.
What was I like when I first started to try prezi out?
Hateful, fearful, a little stabby.
It's true. And I will tell you that when I started using Prezi, and someone did, I think it was Laurel's at like Still in Storm on Twitter was saying she didn't find that the free version was very great. Prezi has been through several iterations since I started using it. The controls for manipulating Prezi were not intuitive or when I first started, not like anything I've seen before. They've changed the controls so they are more recognizable, I think, and more similar to controls you would see on other slide platforms, but also actually not as easy, I think, to manipulate as the old controls once you sort of learned how they worked. And some people like have sort of feelings about how Prezi works, and they love how they look. Like every time I present one, people are really into it. And most people's experience when you first try to start using it, like maybe Bart, you could share what it's like the first time you start using it. I think for me, stabby and weepy are good adjectives.
Well, it wasn't. So one, PowerPoint's very linear and and for me it was I was playing around with a Prezi that was mostly creative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was easy, and learning to navigate it was easy. Figuring out how to add things and add pictures and the linkage wasn't too bad. But what I found was really challenging was getting the pictures to show up the way I wanted them to, and using the space. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was, there was a couple of times like I added things, and the things I added, they looked funny on the user end, right? On the creation end, they didn't look
Mm-hmm.
like they fit. But then on the screen, they looked pretty good, right? So I think it was hard. It was harder to kind of see what it looked like in presentation versus what it looked like. And so things that looked kind of funny, it looked different than the pieces that you created that were so well done. My pieces were kind of like hack jobs. But then when we used it in Kansas City, it looked, the pieces I added looked pretty good. So it's just new, and I'm not comfortable with it.
And it slides around. Like you're playing with three dimensions, really truly. You're sort of in the three-dimensional picture, and so you're playing around with motion and you're playing around with zoom, and we're going to talk about that. I had a great time teaching Bill Schmitz how to do Prezi. There were lots of screams of distress down the hall, and like sort of, "Fuck you, Foreman! Get over here!" And so poor Bill Schmitz learned it, I think, when the controls were less easy to figure out. And we are here, though, to share with you, because I'm not here just to teach you technology. We use Prezi as opposed to other slide platforms because of the way that it integrates with your social media. And so it's when I travel and when I present, I have sort of a social media strategy, and I'm going to talk about that and how Prezi sort of fits into that as we do the slides. But I'm going to go ahead and start with the screen share. How about that, folks?
Do it.
God only knows how this will turn out, right? Let's see if I can make the screen share thing happen, right?
I believe in you. I believe that you can.
Woo! Here we go. Okay, folks, so this is the Prezi tutorial. I know that it's on PowerPoint slides. Google Hangout won't let me go meta and show Prezi about using Prezi, so we're going to have to do it like this. So the first thing you want to do is go to www.prezi.com, and it's easy to get a free account. I do pay because I have so much data on my accounts that I pay something, I want to say it's like $5 a month or $60 a year for my account, which I do a lot of presenting and a lot of use of the slides. So for me, it's sort of like my business cards that I personally make. It's just costs that I invest into my professionalism and into my sort of strategy for maintaining relationships with people. And you can definitely use the free accounts. They work great. And I used the free account for a couple of years before. I think last year I've just finally sucked it up and I paid for more data. Whoops, you're going to create an account right here, and you can, you can log in with LinkedIn, because this is so used in the business world. As a matter of fact, my first experience with Prezi was watching that people in the business world were using it maybe 2011, and me realizing, oh, I'm going now to medical conferences, or I'm watching people do at tech conferences present with Prezi, and so clearly there are people who log in with LinkedIn, but you can log in with your Facebook account, which I find is really easy, and that is what I like to do. when you log in for the first time, you can pick a date for your free Prezi training. I have never taken this, but apparently you can sign in and you can absolutely pick a time for this, which I think is pretty great. And you're just going to go to this first page. If you see sort of right here, there's going to be pick a date for your Prezi, and then there's going to be a place to hit this button that says New Prezi, and you're just going to click right on that, and you're going to start a new presentation. Now remember that you can make your Prezi accounts visible to the public. So much like, remember, Storify accounts that sort of archive and hold all of the curations of all of those Twitter chats that are important to you, you can, of course, do the same thing with your presentation slides. So people can share and like and comment on them, and this is where you sort of find the menu, and you can edit them, and you can do things with them, which is, I think, pretty great. When you select a new Prezi, you can pick a pre-made template. There are fancy design people that want to design their templates from scratch, but you and I are not those people. I went to shrink school to be a shrink. I did not go to design school. I don't get paid to do design, and I don't pretend to be a designer. So I really draw very heavily on these pre-done templates. I will tell you that the templates change a lot. They change based on popularity. They get updated pretty regularly. They have the latest ones, and then you can click more. You can search for certain kinds if you want, and you can see popular ones. So there are several. You can start a blank Prezi if you want, but Bart, you and I will get overwhelmed if we do that. So scroll through here and pick a template. When you are picking templates, you can modify the templates, and I've now modified a couple, and I've really liked it. I think it's pretty easy, and I'll show you sort of when you might consider doing that. But once you pick one, you're just going to click on this little button that says Use Template. I happen to like orange, you might notice that, and so there's one that is this sort of fun little swirl. Some of you remember, because we use this for several SPSM tutorials where we put part of our logo in the background, and we did some fun things with the background of that. We also changed the color scheme of all of those dots, which I will show you where we do that when you customize your template. And we really made this particular one match the colors and some of the design elements of our SPSM logo, and it's pretty easy to find something that matches and sort of has a feel or an organization that you like. And so but you don't have to. You could just use the template as is. I've done that plenty of times. And then you're going to click and you're going to add a title. When you click on something, like you click on this title, it says, like what I showed you, you're going to get this fun little box. This is not like PowerPoint, and this is not like Microsoft Word. So you aren't going to get a gazillion options for what to do with the text. And they've already got sort of a preset title format, a preset subtitle format, and a preset body. You can change some of those things. You can make the text smaller or bigger inside your box. You can change the color of your text if you want. You can make it bold, italicized. You can do boxes. You can do bullets, numbers, justification, and this little button here will always take you home. This will always take you to the way that your screen looks like it'll hit reset. So if you are like me and you get dizzy and lost, because you can get lost very easy because you're playing with space and you're playing with location within sort of one big sort of three-dimensional space, you can hit this button and reset. So once you deal with that, you might want to go look at your slide order. So all of your slides in a template have an order that your sort of your camera. Think about how your slides present like a camera. They have a sort of order of places that they go to. So either zoomed in on different aspects or zoomed out. And this is the order that they're in. And this will let you know if you're wondering, like on PowerPoint. So if you look how my PowerPoint's in order, this is really similar to how PowerPoint works. And you can also move things around in here, and to edit the order that things go in, you sort of hit this little edit path button, and we'll show you a little bit about that in just a minute. Now, when you click on the number 2 slide, if you want to just design each slide, you can just click on this in your or I can do things like that, I guess. Here we go. You can just click on your little slide thing right here, and it will zoom into the field that you would like to edit. So here is my first little slide, and they have brackets, they have squares, they can be shapes, they can be pictures. This is just a circle frame. They have frames, and you can have titles, you can have body, you can move all of this around. It's all really, really editable. But if you don't want to edit, you can sort of use what's preset. And Bart was saying, you know, if you edit it, then it doesn't feel right. We'll talk about where sort of the back button is on Prezi, but there's always a back button. It's sort of right here in the screen, and you can always undo it and try again if you want. Not a problem. So you're going to type in your content. So you just sort of click, you sort of move your thing, you click onto it, and you can add any text you choose. You can bullet the text, you can change the formatting, the color, the font, the size. You can change the justification. You can totally play around. And by the way, once you make your text, I'm gesturing with my hand and you can't see it, but once you make your text, it's going to give you a box, and I'll show you that you can do things with that box. Has anyone ever complained about motion sickness? Yes, Chris Maxwell. There was one set of slides I did, and I don't think this is a template that, because the motion sickness was pretty severe, people don't do it, but it looked like an airplane sort of swooping down from the top of the building like into the city, and it felt like you were like hang gliding from the top of a skyscraper down to the street. And I loved it. I thought it looked so cool, and someone in my audience complained of getting really nauseated. So you definitely want to think about that when you're doing these. I know that they have modified templates and don't offer templates that were, I think, that intense anymore. And so do be mindful of your audience. Once you make that text, that box of text, you can click away from it and then click on it again, and you're going to get this little box right here. Once you get this box, you've got this little hand. When you click on it, you can move the text box anywhere you want. You click on this plus size, you can make it bigger. You can click on the minus size, you can make it smaller. You can click on this to go back to editing the text. You can save it to favorite it to copy and paste it somewhere else. So any element you choose, you can put in your favorites list and then just select it and reuse it or copy it later. You can even delete it. You can also change the size of the box. Instead of just hitting the plus or minus where it sort of jumps big and small, you can customize how much you expand or contract it based on moving these corners. And any element that you have in Prezi will make a box and has those features, not just text. So any element will work like that. You can add other media too, and this is what I like about it. So you can add text, you can add pictures, you can add video, and we're going to show you how to do that. So go to the next numbered item on the path. So you might want to go to, like, this is number 3. So you just go over to that little path, remember, that's at the side. You might click on slide 3. You could add text, but let's say you want to add an image. On the top of your screen, you hit this little insert button. Look, and it lets you add an image, symbols and shapes. You can add YouTube videos. You can favorite them. You can draw arrows. You can draw lines. You can highlight things. I have never added background music. I don't know. This starts to get, like I said, fancier than I feel. You can add a voiceover to the path. So you could actually make slides like I'm making now, and you could voice over the slides, like time them out, and people could hit play and see your whole presentation with your slides like sort of animated and you speaking, and you could produce this and save it on a social media platform, your Prezi sort of archive, and you can tweet out the links to these and people can comment, favorite, share, all of that, just like a YouTube video, Storify, the whole business, which is pretty cool and not necessarily something that's easy to do with PowerPoint. Like PowerPoint, you make it and it just lives on your computer and you have to send it somewhere and host it. And like I think both times, like some people had problems downloading and looking at the PowerPoint slides that I put on the website, whereas if I put a link to a Prezi, they could just click on the link and they could go to there and they could download it or do whatever. That's pretty cool. So let's say we wanted to hit the insert an image. We hit insert, we're going to select image, and it will have a little box here that you can add a screenshot. So I have a Mac, I hit command I think it's Command Caps Lock and 4. Can't remember. Command A4, Command Caps Lock 4, Command Shift 4, something like that. My fingers know. And I just sort of select and I can do screenshots, which is how I did all of this. And then so I can sort of screenshot anything and put it on my prezi, which is what I did here. So this was one of the pictures I screenshot. You can find pictures on Google. You can find pictures on Creative Commons that are, you can just Google up an image if you want to. There's a little Google box, a Google image search on the side. All sorts of ways that you can get images in. You're going to hit replace, and you're going to pick something. You can crop it. You can add effects to it. You can favorite the image if you want to use the image more than once. You can even delete it. And notice, just like on the text box, we have this, once it's a little box thing like this, there's little hands. You can move it around, a plus or minus to make it bigger. And you can also drag on these little corner points, and you can edit the size and move it around, which is pretty fun. And you can make it look just like you want. So think of it like a three-dimensional bulletin board or a diorama where you have a camera that's zooming in and out on things in an order. And that's really what prezi is. Oops, I'm pretending like this is something it's not. Okay, so any box element can be edited in place. So I moved this around, I sized it. Go to the number on the path. You could add, and so I moved the text down here and I sized it so it fit in my circle. And see, we're still on slide 3. It's just what I like, right? And then prezi uses motion plus zoom. So remember, and I keep emphasizing this, that prezi is really playing with motion and scale. So you can use the preset template, but you can also choose at any point to zoom in or zoom out on any image, videos, text, etc. that you add. Like sometimes within one of these slides, I might put 3 smaller subgroups and zoom in on 3 slides sort of here. So I sort of group them together, but then I zoom in on that. And on my little Mac touchpad, I have sort of ways that I sort of pinch enlarge or pinch, make things pinch smaller. So if you use a little touchpad on a laptop, it's pretty easy, I think. But I will show you how then you can add or edit slides on your path a little bit later. You just want to think about how that slide looks at any place where you have a sort of a pause. So how does the big overall set of slides look? And you can look through. I have used lots of different templates. I've played with all of these elements, and you can look through my presentations and sort of see how I do them. I am using PowerPoint to explain prezi. It's beautiful. I like it. The irony is not lost on me. I wish that I was able just to show you in prezi. I really do. So if you're looking at this, we can then add a video. Let's say we wanted to add a video at some point, and we're just going to click Insert. Oop, hold up. Okay, so we're going to click this Insert button right here, and you're going to go to another window, and you're going to find a video on YouTube because it really needs to be YouTube. Prezi doesn't play as well with other videos. And so we're going to find a YouTube video. So on our prezi, I inserted, here's me in the pirate hat, and we've got Jerry and Stark, and we've got Bart and Tony, and here we are, right? And I just took a little screen grab of that. So you're going to go to the video on YouTube, and you're going to highlight that little YouTube address. And then when you go hit Insert, you're going to get this Insert YouTube, and you're going to paste a YouTube link, and you're going to click Insert. If you want to download a video and store it so that you don't have to be connected to the internet to do prezi, and you can pay for these options where you can entirely house a presentation on your laptop and not use the internet at all, and so then you might do other things. But most places you present these days have access to the internet, and most of our phones have hotspots, so it's increasingly easy for me to just not worry about storing all of the YouTube content I'm already storing for free on YouTube. Paste your YouTube link, and then you're going to click this Insert button, and it's going to make a video box to edit just like my image boxes. and you edit these little YouTube boxes just like you edit a text box. So you're gonna, it'll be highlighted. You can increase or decrease the size. You can move it around. You can manually increase or decrease the size. You can even actually turn these or rotate these on an axis, excuse me. And you can, when you hit play, you can even choose to zoom in on those videos. We'll show you how to do that in just a minute. And you can add video and link directly from YouTube, which is pretty, I find it's just pretty easy and pretty cool. If you want your Prezi to zoom in on your video, you're going to click on it and select that box. Okay? So there we are. See, I've clicked on it. Select that box. You're going to click that Edit Path button. See that little button right here? Remember, we showed you a close-up of that earlier? And then we're going to click on the video box to add it. So we're going to click Edit Path, and we're going to click on the box to edit it. When you're on the Edit Path function, you'll see that these numbers indicate which elements you are in what order that you slide to. And so it will add it to the bottom of your queue when you do this, which it didn't used to do. And by the way, it used to be you could sort of draw paths, and I think you still can, but it's much harder than it used to be. It's really much easier to edit the path over here. And so once you do that, you can grab it and slide this anywhere in the order that you want. So you can put it wherever you like. So I'm going to slide it to come at a certain point. So I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to slide it from 14 to, I want it in the number 9 space. So I want it to show this slide, and then I want it to then be, this is the next thing that I click to, and I want the Prezi to zoom in on my video so people can see my video clearly. You may not want to do that. So remember, it's a diorama. Think of this like a three-dimensional diorama, and you have a video camera, and you have media in that big box, and you can zoom in or zoom out on anything in that box, right? So you can add other stuff too. Here's all the junk. I talked about it before. Images, they have this cool set of symbols and shapes. I'm going to show you about that. They have a lot of graphics, and they sort of tell you what they are. There's all sorts of styles, and you can pick them. And you can add symbols, edit the frames, add frame slides. You can even put text on top of them. So here was a graphic that I picked from Prezi, and then I added the text right on top of it. I know what you're thinking. This is pretty nifty. It sometimes helps to put arrows, light bulbs, graphics. Sometimes it just works really well to do that. And so they've got a really big stock, and it's got searchable window, and you can sort of see if they have something. I'd say 85% of the time they already have just what I need, and they don't come in squares, so I get this sort of wonderful editable sort of shape. The editing is very similar to what you would use in Microsoft software, so some of the functions for editing these shapes is pretty familiar. You can also group or ungroup things, but I'm not going to mess with that today. It's usually not necessary. I will tell you that typically things stay together that are all within a frame. So if you keep everything inside a frame, when you move the frame, everything will move with it without you grouping or ungrouping it. So once you start to lay things out outside of a frame, then it gets more exciting. And so just pay attention to that, is what I'm going to tell you. Big picture about Prezi. You're basically creating a big poster board or a big diorama with embedded media, controlling where the camera goes and how zoomed in or zoomed out the camera is. And you decide how cool that is. People can sometimes bury sort of elements or slides in places that aren't really visible, so they sort of appear. It's kind of fun. I mean, when I say play with it, I really mean play. You can select and edit almost anything in the template. So here are these little bubbles. So I just picked any of these bubbles, right? Look, there's some that are very little. There's some that are very big. If I wanted to pick this little one and zoom in way on it and put text or an element on it, it would feel as if this little bubble was more in the background. Again, I'm gesturing with my hand, and you can't see me. It would feel as if this bubble was in the background if I were to pick this and to zoom it. You can pick this bubble. Notice that it's on a tilt, which you can tilt things, and you can either have them off kilter when the camera goes into them, or you can even turn the camera depending on how you select the frame, which is like fun. It's just fun to screw with. You can add or remove path items. Like say I selected this bubble and added it to the path accidentally, and I want to take something out of the path, or there's a slide I just don't want to use. You just hit X, and it's going to remove that from your path. You can add the current view. So you can, like, just if you don't want to add a frame or an item, you just like zoom in and there's just like a way that a certain portion of the screen looks. You can add the current view. You can also clear the whole path and start over again. I've never done that because it would be just a pain in the ass to go back and put it in. But you can do that if you want. So see what I did to the bubble. So I took that bubble, I changed its color, I added a frame around it, I added this light bulb graphic, and then I added text. Don't forget you can edit and customize nearly all the elements, including colors, layout, background, etc. You're just going to play with it. I'm going to show you some of the customizing tools that I think are simplest to use. But this is a text box where I used that sort of text outline feature that it showed you. It's one of the text options, so, which helps if you're placing text on dark or colored images. And you're just gonna mess with it. So you customize just about anything in there. So you can hit the little customize button, which is right next to your insert button, and you can choose to customize the background. So here the background is all orange. I could change the color. I could change any of these themes, which I know we did. I've used this template in the past and used the SPSM theme, and we used sort of a periwinkle color and an orange color in our, if you noticed, in our SPSM colors. And I've picked things in the past, and so like there's a ton of these, and you can find ones that match better what you're doing, who you're presenting to. You can also choose any file. So if you have a big enough graphic, you can choose that. So look, I could choose. See our fancy logo? That's our Facebook banner. I can absolutely choose that. But notice that if you're going to choose something from your background, it actually has to be a fairly sizable graphic, because remember, you may be zooming in quite a bit. So you want to generally pick things for your background that have Tony, what's the word? Like a very high resolution, lots of pixels. Is that the word I'm looking for? Big numbers, big 1,000 something by 1,000 something.
That's the concept you're searching for. Yes.
Tony,
but my
smart
mind,
ass.
but my mind reading is not working out so great tonight.
Everybody has pre-turkey brain, I admit, and we're gonna chat.
Try a card trick later if you want.
We are talking. I think we should do live streaming Tony card tricks, but I am biased. So if you want to pick a background, look, you can pick anything, and you can pick things that match, and choose the file. So we have an SPSM logo file, and we have other files that we've used that have been pretty fun. And I found some cool things. And you can, please do check out my archive. You can find stuff, and then you can present it. So when you get it the way that you like it, you hit this present button, and it'll take you out of it. And when you present it, you can yes.
Or let's face it, just good enough for the presentation you intend to make in the morning. It doesn't have to be that you like it. You just have to be good enough to get through it.
I feel that we can like all of our presentations for the presentations that they are and validate them, Tony.
That's a good idea. We should radically accept them.
I radically accept your presentation the way that it is, and you can hit the present button. When you can present it and you can look at it much like how it works on YouTube, where you can see a smaller screen of a presentation and you can just click through it, or you can expand the screen and see the screen the whole way. And we're going to show you later, but you can also, this is the same share button you've seen. Here are your settings. Here's your question. Here's your exit. Wherever your prezi is, it saves very often, and it has a back button, an undo and redo sort of arrows. You want to take full advantage of that, because sometimes you accidentally misclick and you slide things around. But when you get it the way that you radically want to accept it, and you're accepting the things you don't feel like changing anymore, that's the button you press. You use a regular keyboard, or you can use a standard clicker. So if you can use the little clicker thing that you use for your presentation that plugs into your that plugs into your computer. If you use the clicker, it will just slide through your slides. If you use your keyboard controls, you can actually move the presentation around and slide it or zoom in and zoom out. So if you choose to use your laptop or a laptop with keyboard controls, you can use the preset forward and back on the slides, but you can stop, zoom in on things, or move around in the presentation live when you present it, which can be fun depending on your content. This share is pretty great. You can share. You can present remotely, which when you're not live streaming simultaneously, I recommend. This is why I like using this, and this is why we're talking about this on the Suicide Prevention social media chat. You can share this on Facebook. These are very easy to share on Facebook and Twitter, much easier and I've used other things, like I've used Haiku, and like my daughter and I even like entered like she was an honorable mention in a Mother's Day like slide presentation about me as a mother.
Did you get a bumper sticker?
What?
Did they give you a bumper sticker?
We didn't get a bumper sticker. She didn't get to win a prize basically because there were some swears in her presentation, which I thought were really appropriate, and I. Right, maybe she was 8, but it was really appropriate and pretty funny. Anyway, these are also downloadable as PDFs, and they're also downloadable as portable prezis. So you can download these to your laptop before you present if you know you're not going to have internet in a room. You can make PDFs, you can share on Facebook, you can present remotely, you can share it on social media. You can share copies of the link, you can email them. I like having my slides where my followers on social media can get to them easily, and I will explain why, or sort of how I do it. And if you've seen me speak, you know that I do this. If you want to share things, you want to manage your privacy and editor settings. So if you want it completely private and locked down, you have it there. If you want people to be able to get to it if they know where it is, but not unless you tell them, you can make it hidden. You can also set which I recommend, like if your goal is to present things that are not proprietary, that you want everybody to know, then you really want to make things public. And people can view and edit them, and anyone can view it with the link below if it's unhidden. If you put it on public, anyone can view. You can decide if you want to allow other people to be able to copy the Prezi and duplicate the slides. We're going to talk about how we do it with Prezi or how we do it with SPSM, because there is an SPSM template for all members of our community to use. That's another reason why we're doing this tutorial, is we've made you some slides that you can take and use. So you don't even have to make a presentation from scratch. If you're talking about SPSM, and we've imported all of the junk into it that you could want. But we'll talk about that in just a second. So you can allow others to duplicate it. You can also choose only people that you want to edit it. So you could have it be public, and I could say only Tony and Bart can edit it and nobody else, or I could say only Jonathan Singer can edit it and nobody else. And you can sort of pick those options depending on your goals with your presentation. Then you're going to edit your front page, and I really recommend putting in whatever your hashtags are that you think are important, like hashtag SPSM @DocForeman. Just like how we do our Storify titles, how we do our YouTube titles, I make it so that when you share it on social media, the title already has the @ and the little hashtag signs and everything else. You can then, of course, click on this and add a description. It's going to date it for you. See how it allows you to tweet it? PowerPoint doesn't do that. PowerPoint, start doing that. And here are those same functions that you saw in the menu. This is that front page, present remotely, download it, save a copy, share it, embed it somewhere else. And people can like it, people can comment on it down below, which is, again, this is a very social way for people to engage with your slides. So if you want to go to the demo and play with it, here's the link, and we've tweeted out that link, so you should be able to get with that. And I mean, here's the basic thing. I really want to encourage you guys to play with Prezi. Number one, we've created an SPSM template that sort of has up-to-date information about the SPSM community and sort of organizes a presentation for you where you can put your own picture, your own information, and it looks really good, and you can tell your own suicide prevention social media story. What we found happened this summer, and I was really surprised by this, and Bart, I would like for Bart to talk about this because he did get the template for this. But what I like about this is that anybody can get it who needs it. We've really decentralized who is really at the heart of SPSM. It's really all of us. We recognize that many of you are experts and influencers in your own communities, and swears, that's right. Sometimes my daughter uses swears because I taught them to her, and that is the truth. And she's really good at it. She's skillful swearer. Anyway, no, we use Prezi. We made the SPSM Prezi basically so that everyone could find and get to slides, and in their area of influence have a high quality of slide with consistent branding and consistent graphics. And honestly, just nobody should have to reinvent the wheel, or I shouldn't have to email. People would say, is it okay, because you're like the boss of SPSM, which was very flattering but not quite true. And then I would have, find them and email them things, which I'm happy to do, but I would rather just have a place where you can find it and grab it. So that's what we did. I'm going to close out screen sharing. There, I think I did it. Right? Did I do it? Woo! Woo! These are a little intense.
Yes, hands.
So, Bart, could you talk a little bit about, you're one of the people who got a Prezi after Tony and I sort of came up with the solution of how we were going to do this.
It was really easy. I mean, it was just clicking onto the website. It pulled it up. I did create my own account, right? So I did have to create my own account. And I just copied it and started playing around with it. The thing that was really cool about it is that you can just share the whole thing with everybody who's working on it with you. There were 3 or 4 of us that were involved in the project, so I could just share the link, which is really nice because a lot of times with PowerPoints, they get really big really fast, right? And some people's mailboxes won't accept those larger files, so it's a nice way to share. And it worked very, very well. And I liked it. I mean, the hard part for me has always been that I'm so used to PowerPoint. It's just natural to me, and breaking that cycle. But I think just watching what you did, the level of control and the options are so much stronger. And the fact that it's now a link on the web and you can tweet it, right? You can share it with people so much better. It's very, very powerful. And I have to say, the other thing I like about Prezi is it's the way it's designed. It's a lot harder to use Prezi and do what a lot of people do, which is basically put their notes on a PowerPoint screen, right?
Do not do that.
How many presentations do you go to where basically the whole PowerPoint is just somebody's notes and they're reading from their slides? Prezi really, really makes that very challenging. It wouldn't work very well. And so it forces you to really think visually. And to think about what messages you're trying to get across with less words. And it also forces you to know your material. And I think Chris Maxwell is amazing. One of the things he talked about, it really makes you think about having to think about your audience more, right? And I think a lot of times presenters are thinking about their content and not their audience. And I think Prezi really gets you to start thinking about your audience and what they're going to groove on, and what visuals they're going to connect with. And I like that. I think that's very powerful.
And let's talk, you just mentioned several important things. So first of all, if you love someone, I know you would never do this, but if you love someone who copies and pastes their direct notes onto slides, then reads them aloud, take them aside and have an after-school special moment with them, and explain to them that, number one, those PowerPoint slides, if a speaker in your audience wanted them, they would have to email you or get a printed handout, slaughter some trees, store the slides, either store the little handouts in a file they could never find again. They certainly couldn't Google them up. And more importantly, why have I traveled to come talk to you personally if you're just going to read something to me you could have emailed me? Don't do it. Do have something very visual. I haven't played with doing the voiceover. I think I may try doing one like that, because sometimes people get my slides who aren't there. But then remember that people may be live tweeting you, and live tweeting PowerPoint slides is just really hard to do. We have the link to the PowerPoint slides in our SPSM chat blog for this week. But we even had, when we did the Storify tutorial, we even struggled with some people downloading that file and it not being the right version or whatever. Like, the link is easy. People can Google it. You can tell people to go to your Prezi account. They can find it. There's even a button that lets you tweet it out. That's just way kinder to people if it's part of your, if you're going to be encouraging live tweeting anyway. So, like, think in terms of your presentation, that you're standing and you're presenting. You want people to be using social media. You hope maybe people are streaming you and maybe can see your slides, or maybe not. That sometimes it's hard to see when people are periscoping. But then you want people to tweet out the link to your slides, share how to get a hold of you, Facebook friend you or follow you on Twitter, because you want them to enjoy your presentation, get some education or learning from what you have to say, but mostly feel connected to you, sort of remember what generally it was about. When they want the specific information later, you want them to be able to find you easily, so I encourage people to Facebook friend me before they even leave the presentation, and many, many people do. And then hit me up on Facebook if you want to be introduced to more experts in this area that I'm talking about. Hit me up on Facebook or Twitter if you'd like a link to the slide. Can I get someone in the room to tweet out the slides? And this is why a tool like Prezi works very well. Now, if Prezi's not your jam, find another presentation tool with a similar functionality. I know I said jam. But do find a presentation tool with that functionality so that all of your content is accessible and shareable in the major social media platforms. And just, SPSM, can we all have a moment? Lean in close. Don't stop today. Stop wasting your time producing content that cannot be easily shared and disseminated. Just don't. Like, make content that can go viral, because unless you are J.K. Rowling and a publishing house will sell 1 million copies of what you have to say, don't put barriers in the way of people sharing the message that you work so hard to create. Quit putting effort and time into creating content that people cannot immediately disseminate. That's my that is my big. I love you all. That's my big lesson.
Well, isn't it funny, April, that a lot of folks really are excited about putting a blog out, which anybody can have and share, but for some reason with a PowerPoint presentation, they're closed about it. Like, I don't want you to have my slides.
I'm not sure.
What? Has someone ever done that? Who says I don't want you to have my slides?
Well, there's people.
I better not find out their names.
Yeah.
There's people.
There are people. Why would they make slides if they don't want you to have them?
Well, I don't. Why? That's a good. What do you think? Why do you think that would be?
I think that they think intellectual property is an actual thing that you own in your hand, and they don't understand about that intellectual property is about attribution. So a slide that you can share that's copyrighted and you say, please do share, but without altering, like, that's intellectual property. Like, just lock down that people can't edit it and encourage them to share and have your citation and your attribution on it. Maybe.
I think that's just the way to go. I think that's the way to go.
People do that?
Yeah, they do.
They might.
Tony, can you share some reasons why? This is one of those things that you made me start doing that I was kicking and screaming about. Right? I spent a week. I did, like, my very first Prezi was like, who is Dr. Foreman? And it was painful.
It was great. Everyone loved it, especially me. And the process of getting it done was wonderful.
True.
And I should recommend everyone getting a friend like Dr. Foreman to help through their first Prezi. I really, really do. Get right on it. Pick the most challenging, the most challenging, least emotionally prepared person that you can to cope with change, especially with regard to technology. That's who you should start with if you're going to teach somebody Prezi.
Yeah, I feel like Tony is, like, if Tony can influence me to do this, pretty much he can get you all. Like, I feel like Bill was probably learned it faster than me, and I remember how awful Bill was initially, just his anxiety level, and I think I was worse. I'm pretty sure. I think I called you screaming and crying a couple of times because I got motion sick.
It was so painful.
It was very, very bad. So
Bart has already covered the best points of Prezi.
Mm-hmm.
He said everything that needs to be said, but I'm going to say it again. Shake it out. Shake out your PowerPoint blues. There's no reason to stick with this nonsense PowerPoint where we do this all day, and we're like, oh, next slide, then we read it to you. Then we go to the next slide, then we read those to you, and the fonts are this big, and you can't, it's because they've just cut and pasted their notes into this presentation because they didn't really want to do the presentation in the first place because they didn't really care. They just got invited to do this thing, or they had to, or their cousin asked them, or whatever, and they just show up and they read you the slides. It's death by PowerPoint. Everybody that's has heard of this by now. So just stop it. Just don't do it. Just stop it.
If you have content and you have numbers and details.
I am not in psychology. I'm the computer guy.
If you have numbers and details that people are interested in, then go ahead and publish those on social media, like on a blog, like here is the PDF to the paper with the full data, and then put the link to the full data in your Prezi and say, listen, the full data is available here. You can get my slides, and if you watch a Prezi, you can click on the embedded links in a Prezi, and they can take them to the full data if they want to find it, and then you can just screenshot. But the three most important findings that we're going to discuss are here, and you can screenshot those, explain those, and link to the nitty-gritty so that people can absolutely, from their laptops or phones that hopefully they have brought with them to your presentation and you've encouraged them to have out, they can get to all of your complicated data. But don't, your audience is not going to retain it. That is not what they came for. They came to have a relationship with you. They came to see the data through your eyes. And if you encourage them to connect with you on social media and how to get to your more detailed content, they will get the things that they're interested in. Your goal is to really make them understand why that detail is important and to have a relationship and get them interested. And Prezi is just fun, it's captivating, it's fluid and interesting to use.
You don't have to just use Prezi, but God forbid should it be visually appealing.
Go ahead, Bart.
Well, I think the other thing I really like about Prezi, and for me this would be really helpful, but a lot of times I'll have a lot of content I want to cover, but sometimes I'll spend more time on one thing than another, right? And so with PowerPoint, how many times have you been in a presentation I've had to do this where, I want to get to this point, right? So you've got to click through like 6 slides, you've got to break out of presentation mode and scroll down. And with Prezi, you can block things off and you can move to where you want to go. And one of the things that's really cool, and I've had to do this with PowerPoint and I hate it, there'll be a couple of pieces where I'll present something and then I want to come back to something I showed before to show a comparison and contrast. And in PowerPoint, I got to build in multiple slides to do that, right? Where in Prezi, I could just move back and forth between the nodes, right? So it's just a much more powerful, user-friendly, and maybe this sounds crazy, but one of the things I'm going to do is I've got a training coming up that's a PowerPoint. Maybe the first step is I'll just switch that into a Prezi, right? So just kind of take that and move it into Prezi as an experiment and see how that goes.
That I have to tell you, I usually have Tony on standby when I sort of migrate things between Prezi and PowerPoint. We've sort of done it both ways, and it was not great.
What were you doing? What were you like?
Oh, I think when we did Carter Center, we made a Prezi, and you can see it on my Prezi archive. And then they wanted it in PowerPoint slides, and I really tried to explain that I had made it a timeline, and that there was a visual element of moving through that was. I mean, if you design, I'm clicking wrong, my camera part wrong. If you design a Prezi right, then not only is it sort of entertaining to move through, but the moving through contributes to the experience of your presentation. And so we sort of had sort of a Star Wars theme about social media, A New Hope, and we were talking about that in mental health, and there was sort of a timeline, and it was really set in a timeline, and we were sort of explaining the past, present, and the future, and it really helping people have the emotional experience of we're moving through history and we're letting go of some old ideas because there are some, and it was very, it really visually organized what I was saying, sort of auditorily and linearly. The visual thing was sort of keeping everybody sort of, what's the word, sort of located in where I was speaking and sort of what the big idea was. It's really great for that. and you can add a second element. And so,
there's a study from Notre Dame that, No, I'm thinking of the cathedral. It's Notre Dame, the university. There's a study that about the doorway effect, where you think, oh, I need something from the fridge, and then you walk into the kitchen and you can't remember why you're there.
Yeah.
Well, if you can simulate that effect in Prezi positively, so you can change the subject by changing the scenery, and have everybody just move on with you. And so you can take the entire room from one discrete set of subjects to another discrete set of subjects visually, which helps the room come with you. And the whole point, obviously, is for them to understand what you're talking about. So you want them to, put away the last subject and come on to the next one, sort of like when you're in 4th grade and you change from math to geography.
That is exactly it. And I'm trying out the new microphone, which has the taps. Did Chris Maxwell just do the Bob Newhart? Just stop it.
Just stop it.
Oh my gosh, Chris, I love if somebody can tweet the link to the Bob Newhart. Just stop it bit where he's a therapist and people come for therapy and they come in to sit down and they tell the problems and the therapist says, just stop it. That's what I'm telling you to do. Just stop it. It's what we're telling you to do. Just no more. If your presentation isn't exciting for you to look at after you got finished making it, don't give it. If you aren't excited, don't do it. Do something else. Bart, any tips for making the switch? Ways that you've changed your thinking?
Well, I haven't. I'm going to be honest. I haven't really made the switch. I did the one because I didn't have to create a whole new set of PowerPoint slides when something already existed, and I really liked it. But then I went right back into my.
You relapsed?
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty strong word. I mean, I haven't fully adopted Prezi. I'm pre-contemplative. Moving into contemplation with some action. But not much action, which kind of describes my entire life.
What would it take, and I mean this in a really serious way. So what things would have to be solved, or what barriers or challenges in order to really help with adoption?
So for me, it would have to be being very intentional about having lots of lead time to make the switch. And so for me, it's a bandwidth issue. I'm constantly, every moment of my day is the life is sucked out of it. So if I've got to put something together, I'm going to put something together. And I don't want to add. I don't have the energy or space to learn something new. So I would need to be very. So that's why I'm thinking with something I've already created. And it's not starting doing everything from new, but taking the content I've got and then moving it into Prezi may be my first real step to make my first real Prezi. But for me, it's a time crunch issue. When you're stressed and time's at a minimum, you do things that you already know well. So I think that's my. It's not a great. I know it's not a
100% agree. I will tell you that my very first one was me just doing my 5-minute Doc Foreman, what is my mission introduction, and I picked something that was relatively short that I knew the time, and I sort of played with it, and it took me a half a day just to figure it out. And I will say that the first one that you do, bring a friend and take some time, and plan, make it social, order a pizza, pour yourself a cold beverage. Be as social as you can, so that if you find that it's hard to pick it up, make it fun. And I agree with that. And I will tell you that when Bill Schmitz was doing his first ones, I would walk in the office. I mean, the first one or two he did took it was several days, and it was we had to keep going back to it. And then he can I think he can just churn one out. I don't even hear from him when he does them anymore. But it takes work.
And I think this is really important because one of the things that you did an amazing walkthrough that was really cool, and it really has pushed me because I think everything philosophically about the way I present and what I believe about presenting, Prezi works so much better than PowerPoint does, plain and simple. And so now it's just time to make the switch. And I think one of the things that's really key about that is the advice that you give, making sure you've got the space to do that because you're trying something new. And I can only imagine, like, if I had a time press, if I had a day to get a full presentation done, and I was stressed about new stuff, I would freak out. I would probably completely lose it. So, right? And so being very mindful about that and building some time in to do that. So I'm making a vow that the next presentation that I do will be a prezi presentation.
Ooh. And speaking of which, we are in the last couple minutes. It's time for final thoughts. I'll go first. So, like, my final thought is it's Thanksgiving. Screw around with new technology this week. If you've not tried Prezi, give it a try. I've been screwing around with Snapchat because, you know, I sort of functionally understand how it works, but I'm trying to really understand how it works because it's a super secret thing for Project Clearance, but I'm getting ready to do Snaptember or Snap December. I don't know. I'm getting ready to do a Snap Holiday. Snapchat Advent. Snapchat. I can't. But I'll come up with it. It'll be snazzy. But my point is, like, if you if you find the innovation is important and you find changing platforms is important, give yourself time to play with it. Tony, final thoughts.
Just stop it. Stop giving bad presentations. If you have to keep using PowerPoint, stop torturing the audience. Just stop it.
Yeah, do like 5 slides, not 35 slides, like I did.
Yeah, yeah. Bring yourself. Don't bring your slides. Just show up and talk to people.
Woo-hoo.
You know what you're talking about.
Or if you don't, that's a problem.
You do know. You know. You know. I know you know. I'm talking to you. You know.
Bart, final thoughts.
Tony is cracking me up tonight. I just have to say that Tony, I love you. That's just amazing. And it's great that Dr. Phil joined the show tonight because the Dr. Phil approach to change it works really well. Just stop doing this and do that. I think we all know that that's a pretty good technique. I think for me, it's really about connecting what's your overall goal, right? What's your overall goal? And if your goal is to increase awareness of the content you're sharing, to have it work on multiple platforms, connect with multiple platforms, and to be audience centric, then you switch to Prezi, right? I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I think you need to prepare yourself and be mindful and planful about how you're going to do that, because I think from my just small playing around with it, if you've been using PowerPoint, it's a big transition, but I think something to experiment with in small bits. I think that a lot of people, PowerPoint, and Tony's kind of hit on this, PowerPoint's like the podium or the lectern for people, right? It's the thing they kind of hide behind when presenting is hard for them. And so that's something to be aware of as well, that you're used to PowerPoint and that not having that's going to be a change for you. So get some practice in as well. But everything, I saw Prezi for the first time 3 years ago, and I was like, I really need to do this. And I'm going to be honest, when I looked at it, I got overwhelmed very quickly. And when I saw you do it, April, it got me a little bit closer, and then this demo got me a little bit closer. So we'll see what happens next.
And Phil Rogers, just so you want to know, if you guys want to share your Prezis with each other, you share that link, because when you tweet them out or you share them on Facebook, you can hashtag them. You can alter the Twitter, you can alter the tweet that you tweet out. Hashtag SPSM, hashtag Prezi. If you guys just want to play over Thanksgiving and share your fun work with each other, absolutely do that. Thank you so much to Chris Maxwell. Thank you to Stark, who was helping with the SPSM account. Several of you really were wonderful in terms of spreading the quotable quotes. Thank you very much. Hashtag SPSM, hashtag Prezi. Give it a shot. Show us what you make. You've had another week with us? What?
Stay stabby, everybody. Have a mint-free stabby Thanksgiving.
Don't stay stabby. That's terrible advice. Don't stay stabby. Don't stop being stabby.
Stop being stabby. Happy Thanksgiving. SPSM.
Do we have next week? What's next week?
Oh. Next week we're on holiday hiatus, so everybody.
Yay! I mean, darn.
Tony.
Everyone's going to be traveling home from holidays, and that is typically a night that our numbers really don't support having a live show. No. So we're not going to do next week. We're going to come the next week. We've got next week's guest, and then we've got Project Clearance coming up before the big holiday hiatus. We are in the works of sort of organizing an SPSM social hour for people who maybe want to hang out like on Saturday night at maybe an earlier time. So if that's something that you're interested in, hit us up on the SPSM Facebook group. We'll totally tell you what's going on. knowing that we're organizing social fun for you, but there won't be a regularly scheduled chat. And everybody, I'm so glad you stopped in.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Bye.
April, we've got to let Tony out of the crate earlier next show. I'm just going to say, let's get him out of the crate earlier. Is that on the air?